let's go right to Mike Tobin with the latest on the ground in Tel Aviv. Mike.
Big neck.
Hey there, Todd. The Iranian ballistic missile attacks continued here in central Israel overnight. There were two separate attacks that came just after midnight local time. That caused people here in Tel Aviv in particular to scramble for the bomb shelters. The missile defense systems did their jobs. Multiple explosions in the skies over Tel Aviv. Several missiles did reach the ground. A parking lot was hit. No reports of injury. Israeli warplanes were active last night. The IDF says some 50 fighter jets took to the air and hit some 20
God damn, 50 jets? What the fuck?
Targets in Iran overnight. The targets include sites that produce raw materials and components for missiles. Israel sent warnings into southwest Tehran for people to evacuate before targets were struck there.
Great. We've struck deep, hitting Iran's nuclear, ballistic, and command capabilities. The Iranian regime has spent years getting closer to a nuclear weapon. They have spent billions building a ballistic missile program. Our mission is clear: to remove the threat at its source.
Yeah, good. Great.
The U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem announced it is closing during this stage of the conflict. This follows damage to the U.S. consulate in Tel Aviv caused by a missile impact. No injuries resulting from that. It is also in step with most of the businesses in Israel closing while the missile attacks continue.
Yeah,
President Trump and Iran's leader traded shots over social media.
The bombs,
President Trump posting unconditional surrender, implying that is meant for the Grand Ayatollah. Khamenei, for his part, posted the battle begins 6 days into this stage of the conflict. Carly and Todd.
And Mike, you know, for
he says the battle begins. Bro, they probably know where you are on a satellite that's in outer space. Meanwhile, you're tweeting out AI videos of you blowing up Israel, and all your rockets are getting intercepted, and you're so afraid of people figuring this out that you have to turn off the internet. Hey, what are you thinking? What a retard.
Long Iran has used its terror proxies, Hezbollah and the Houthis, to do their dirty work. Have those groups said anything about jumping into this and helping Iran out now?
Aren't they all dead?
Well, the Houthis have fired several missiles in the direction of Israel at this point. We have out of Lebanon.
Yeah, but they do that all the time. It doesn't even matter.
On word, certainly, that the president, Joseph Aoun, is encouraging Hezbollah to stay out of the fight. Keep in mind that Hezbollah...
That is going to be really funny if, like, Iran has sent these clowns money for so many years, and it's going to be like the, you know, like the Syrian, I think it's Syrian president, like, used to be an ISIS, you know, like, fucking leader, you know, he had a 10 million bounty, and then, like, Trump meets him, you know, after he takes over Syria, basically, he's like, yeah, really good-looking guy, super tough military history. And then next thing you know, he goes and he says, yeah, we're going to shoot down any... Yeah, if you want to... you want to shoot missiles at Iran? Yeah, you can use our airspace. It's fine. Like, are they going to have their own fucking terrorists roaching out on them? I think that's what might happen.
Has been badly weakened since this war began following October 7th. And the people of Lebanon have endured now 4,000 people who have been killed during this stage of the conflict and $11 billion in damage. So you can see why Lebanon's president is encouraging Hezbollah to stay out of it.
Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah, what a difference a pager attack makes. Mike Tobin, live for us in Tel Aviv. Mike, thank you so much.
Well, they killed their main guy, that Hassan Nasrallah. Like, that was their main dude. And that guy was smart, man. He was a smart guy. He was a good talker. And, you know, you get rid of him, and things aren't looking so good. And his successor, yeah.
Let's go now to former Assistant Secretary of State Brian Hook. Brian, good morning.
You're right.
Thank you so
much
for joining us. What
Good
options do President Trump have on the table right now?
Well, I think the president's chief focus, based on what he said, is the diplomatic track, which he has been pursuing with Steve Witkoff after many rounds of talks with the Iranian regime to try to reach a diplomatic solution to this urgent problem of Iran's nuclear program. But the Iranians have been playing cat and mouse diplomacy for quite some time now, and I think patience is wearing thin with this sort of tactic, which is a hallmark of the Iranian.
Well, this is what they do. They say we're not building it, and they say, okay, well then show it to us. Well, we can't show it to you. Well, why? Well, we don't need to know. You're not. Yeah, maybe you're not showing it to them because you're building it. No, that's not the. No. You don't understand.
Regime, as President Trump said in the first term, Iran has never won a war and never lost a negotiation. This is what Iran is good at. But I think after all these...
That's clever. That is clever.
Rounds of inconclusive talk, and
so he's saying they're just fucking lying and making up a bunch of bullshit, so why even deal with them? Yeah.
Being so successful at degrading Iran's nuclear and military capabilities, the United States now has to take a serious look.
I mean, people are afraid of nothing. No one will get involved for Iran. This is not going to be a global war. I do think it's really funny that Iran pumped all of this money into these terrorist organizations, and even they are roaching out on Iran. And people think Russia is going to come and help them. That is embarrassing.
What to do to strengthen the diplomatic track through the military option.
Okay, let's pick it up there. The prevailing wisdom is that there would not be boots on the ground in any Iranian war. Assuming you agree with that, as President Trump makes this calculus as to whether or not we're going to join this war or not and how we would join it, what are the cons to joining if American boots would not be on the ground?
Money.
And presumably, if our first salvo in joining this war is the bunker buster bomb.
What's the negatives?
Well, the president has a good group of people around him advising him on a range of options. So far, America's involvement in this conflict has been on the defensive side, helping Israel defend itself from the Iranian missile attacks that were described earlier. And so I think now the president clearly giving an option for the Iranian leader to come and sort this out peacefully. There are a range of offensive options that I think are before the president, and he's weighing those, based on circumstances on the ground. But that can confuse. That can be helping with refueling missions. It can involve joint strikes with the Israelis, and it also can involve an American bomber taking out the nuclear facility in Iran, which is the most significant of all the nuclear facilities in Fordo.
That is the big one.
And Brian, if the Iranian nuclear threat is eliminated, what message does that...
Even Jordan is helping with intercepting rockets from Iran like nobody likes them? Yeah, nobody likes Iran. Exactly. Yeah, fuck them.
Send to Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping?
I think it strengthens President Trump's hand globally in other conflicts if he is successful, either through a peaceful route, which I think is the preferred route, or something more kinetic. If he
This bullshit language they use is so funny to me. Like, this is amazing. You're talking about kinetic? Oh, my God. I know you're isolationist, but you think U.S. presence in the Middle East is better so we can keep influence on Asian continent, especially with Russia and China? I've always been pro-trade. I'm a big fan of trade. I think trade is what's going to modernize the Middle East. I think it already has. Look at Saudi Arabia. And I'm not an isolationist. Whenever I say I'm an isolationist, I mean I'm not a war. There's isolationist and there's war interventionist. I'm about like right here.
If he were to be successful in taking out this decades-long problem of the Iranian nuclear program, I do think it would strengthen his hand globally. Obviously, this is enormously complicated, the sort of the factors and the decisions that are before the president. But Iran now has enough enriched uranium for many nuclear weapons.
I said 9.
And so it is becoming a mounting threat that Israel has done.
They blow that shit up as soon as they can. I'm going to be honest. Like, every day that they have that, every day they have any time to, like, Every day that you let them go anywhere with that is bad. Yeah, like they would have to test them. Yeah, but what if they don't? What if they don't test them? They just send them over somewhere else and it causes like a massive radioactive fallout. Like every day you don't do something about this, it gets worse.
A terrific job at degrading, but is not yet eliminated.
What's a kinetic test?
If Iran finally
Bombing
realizes that it is losing, but still refuses to surrender unconditionally, as Donald Trump has asked, what's the worst it could do at this point? In other words, if it wanted
they could probably make another AI video of them blowing up the White House. I mean, I feel like that would be probably the worst that they could do. That'd be probably worst case scenario.
go out in
and
a
then
blaze
claim
of
victory,
glory.
and then get arrested and go to jail.
I think that option set is shrinking. Iran has the largest missile inventory of any country in the Middle East.
That's a lot of missiles.
But Israel has taken out so many of its missile launchers. And there's this huge imbalance that it was a vulnerability that the Israelis have exploited with the Iranian regime, that they have more missiles than they have launchers. It's quite a lopsided ratio. Israel has now taken out anywhere between a third and a half of these missile launchers. And as you've seen night after night.
This is why they're not popping off anymore.
The number of strikes conducted by Iran has gone down fairly dramatically. And this has allowed Israel to achieve dominance over the skies of Iran, where they can fly as they wish.
They're just doing
so that is a huge accomplishment. Israel did in 72 hours what President Putin in Russia could not do, still has not done over 3.5 years in Ukraine, to achieve aerial dominance. So the conditions are much more favorable than they were just a few days ago.
Yeah, and I'm hearing that the ease with which
and think about that. Yeah, it's embarrassing, right? The shade,
Israel was able to control Iranian airspace even surprised some officials within Israel. So it's 5
I mean, the fact that, like, bro, the Ukraine flying lawnmowers just landing them on top of the airplane, then blowing it up. And it's like you have a $400 lawnmower that just deletes a $95 million airplane. Like, I just, like... I'd be so fucking furious. I'd be out of my fucking mind.
In the morning on the East Coast.
I wouldn't say embarrassing.
We will see what today brings for the region and the whole world. Brian, thank you for joining us.
I'm Steve Ducey.
Yeah,
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Yeah, there it is. It's hilarious. It is, bro. It's like in StarCraft, right? Where like you send in a bunch of Zerglings or whatever, and they just kill like all the high health. Like you have like the high Templars, and like you're just building them, and then like the Zerglings just come and fucking kill them before you can put down the fields. Yeah, I'd be fucking furious. Remember yesterday whenever I said that most people supported Iran not getting a nuclear weapon? And it was overwhelming support for it, and everybody said that I was wrong because y'all were on the internet and you have a completely distorted view of the world. And, everybody, like, I said this, remember, everybody was saying I was wrong. Everybody was getting mad. But the thing is that, as usual, I was right.
And overall, I feel like there's more support for Donald Trump's positions than is comically acknowledged. Oppose Iran getting a nuclear weapon. I mean, look at this. 79% of adults agree on that.
I can't believe 21% of people are retarded. That is a shock. 21% of people. I mean, to be fair, this is the same amount of people that think that, like, transgender should be in fucking the opposite gender sports, right? So, I mean, it's not really a big thing, but there it is.
They agree with Donald Trump. Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
83% of Republicans, 79% of independents, 79% of Democrats.
That's what's crazy is Democrats not even that different.
You get 79% of Democrats and 83% of Republicans agreeing on anything. You know that position is the very clear majority in this country. And so the American public...
It's obvious, bro. People are totally against this shit. Yeah, look at that. Now make a poll of people wanting to remove Israelis' weapons. We can't take their weapons away. It's not going to happen. Like, that's why, again, it's much easier to keep the... Like, once the cat is out of the box, it's hard to put the cat back in the box. The solution is never let the cat out of the box.
is with Donald Trump, they definitely oppose Iran getting nuclear weapons.
It could be
so this is a
around
nuance
box
here, but Trump and Netanyahu both arguing that Iran is close to being capable of making a nuclear weapon. If that is the case, what is the feeling of Americans as to whether the United States should get involved in this conflict?
Right. If you buy Donald Trump's theory of the case, and I think that's important to note, this is polling from April. If Iran's trying to make a nuclear weapon, look at this. Overall, you get the slight plurality. I mean, it's within the margin of error, but the slight plurality of Americans actually favor U.S. airstrikes compared to 47% opposing it. Now, here's the other nugget I'll note, right? There's been a lot of talk online and on social media and in podcasts of a divide within the Republican ranks. But here, on this question, if Iran's trying to make a nuclear weapon, look at that. 69% of Republicans, the clear vast majority of Republicans, favor U.S. airstrikes on Iran, on their nuclear facilities. But there is this substantial minority, 27%, who oppose such an idea. So it's not surprising you're hearing those other voices besides Donald Trump out there. There are plenty of them in the Republican ranks who oppose the U.S. striking Iran if they're trying to make a nuclear weapon. But the clear majority of Republicans are with Donald Trump if, in fact, Iran is trying to make nuclear weapons. They do, in fact, potentially favor U.S. airstrikes.
I was right. I said this. Republicans love bombing people. So you just said right there, Democrats oppose Iran getting nuclear weapons. Says 79% of Democrats. Apparently, Democrats love bombing people, too. Yep, that's it. And that's it. So it's mob rule. Yeah, that's usually how it works. That's yeah, I mean, pretty much. That's about right. Yeah.